I'm going to show you how I got from this themeless game design to these beautiful prototypes. This is how I launch a board game, episode 2. In the last episode, we covered a few things. I signed a contract to publish a game by Justin Gunnell called Junction. Junction is a team-based game where players give their team clues that connect words on the board. The objective is to try to connect at least 4 spots in a row between 2 different quadrants of the board. There's also special abilities that allow teams to do things like block, spots, and steal clues. My job as a publisher is to pick a theme, improve the gameplay if possible, and then create artwork, and then market and launch Kickstarter. And that's what we're covering in this series. With that recap out of the way, let's take a big step back and talk about what I'm trying to achieve with Turn Sideways Games. As a parent of 2, I know how important leisure time is. When I sit down to play a game, I want it to be something that is fun and that creates memorable experiences. Said another way, I want Turn Sideways Games to be known for creating beautiful, engaging games. I think that Words of a Feather did that. It has table presence, it's beautiful, it's a lot of fun to play, and I want the next one to do the same thing, but really in its own way. So that's the goal for Turn Sideways Games. Create beautiful, engaging games. So at this point in the process, we need to pick a theme and get a general direction for the style, the layout, and the components. That way we can provide all that information as a clear direction to our artists so that they can create artwork. When I'm starting to assess a theme for a game, the first step is playing the game a lot, with the goal of really understanding what mechanics make up the game. So what are the mechanics in Junction? It's team-based, there is clue giving, there's guessing, there's making connecting lines to win, and there are special abilities. And so now the question is, what theme can we lay on top of these mechanics to really make them more intuitive and elevate the whole experience? The team-based mechanic features so heavily in the gameplay that the theme really needs to center around a team or a crew of some kind. And crews make me think of Ocean's 11 or some kind of heist, a team sport maybe of some kind, or the crew of a ship, maybe a spacefaring ship or a nautical ship. Of all these themes, the nautical theme best lends itself to being made into something unique and beautiful. Also, I grew up going on family vacations to the ocean and I just really love it there, so maybe I'm drawn to capturing that in the game in some way. So if we're going down this nautical theme, it kind of makes sense to me to make all of the words islands and to make all the connecting points ships. Just kind of seems intuitive. Given this, my first thought was that smugglers would be a fun theme, with teams trying to stash contraband or stolen goods on the islands, and smugglers need to be sneaky and secretive, and there could be a tie-in with the clue giving. Another direction we could go is pirates or just merchant sailors. You know, I think there are a lot of options at this point, but whatever we go with is really going to dictate the name of the game and the names of the special abilities. So now that we have our theme selected, we need to get a general direction for the style and the components and the layout so that we can give that direction to the artist. So this is totally random, but I will zone out to acrylic wood table builds on YouTube. My go-to channel for this is Blacktail Studio. It's just so calming to watch something like this being built, and you know, there are some beautiful tables out there that mimic islands, and I love watching these things get made, and I love how these things turn out, and I wanted to see if maybe I could capture some of that essence of one of these tables in the board and in the island cards. So I headed over to Midjourney to see what kind of inspiration and direction I could find by using artificial intelligence. Now, if you don't know Midjourney, it is an image-based generative AI platform. And so basically it is creating wholly new images from a whole training set that it's been given. And all we have to do is feed it a prompt like, you know, imagine dogs leading the revolution. And you can even put in a style like, you know, modernism or something like that. And it's gonna show you something like this. It's gonna give you 4 different options that it's created. And then from there, you can iterate on different designs and things like that. But I want to use this to potentially give us some different stylistic directions. So again, we're only using this AI to help us identify what style we want to do for our game so that we can provide that direction to the artist. So I probably spent about 20 hours messing around with different prompts to create artwork, and I landed on these 4 styles that I'm going to play test. This is the first image that we came up with. The prompt I used for this is top-down island artwork, ocean background in pour style, and that pour style is kind of the acrylic pour idea. And so next to it is the artwork on a preliminary game board. Again, this is just a very rough concept of what the layout might look like. And here's what it looks like printed up with some 3D ships on it. So I've shared all of these different images that were created with my artist, Soul, and she highlighted the fact that a lot of details can get missed or washed out or drowned out, especially at distance, and so we want to be careful with how much detail we put into these images, but this is at least a good representation of what it might look like. We're gonna play test with this one. The next one here, I used the last image that you saw as a seed image for this one, and I said, okay, take this seed image and do it as an acrylic pour style island artwork for a word game. And this is what it came up with. And just next to it is what it looks like all laid out on a table with some words and kind of the layout that we're thinking. And this one has a very different feel. It's kind of bold and bright colors, a bit more abstract islands, and maybe it feels a little bit more like the acrylic table that I was using for inspiration. So with this next one, I wanted to try something really different. And so I spent some time perusing the Midjourney community forums to see what others came up with. And I found this image. I was able to see the prompt that they used to create that image, and I kind of followed a similar pattern to create this one. The prompt that I used for this is top-down view of an island, calm waves, dreamy clouds, pastel colors with ink, comic book vibes, thick texture, visible stroke. I feel like I'm a psychopath as I say these things out loud, but this is the prompt. And here's, just next to it what it looks like all laid out. I think the white background is really a different aesthetic, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of Road to Tokaido, but I can't say that I don't like it. I think it's really pretty. We're gonna have to play test this one. Finally, I did what any intelligent guy would do in my situation, and I asked my wife for her prompt. And she suggested that I try the prompt top-down view of island in the style of Gustav Klimt. Here's what that looks like laid out. Here's some images of everything printed out and laid out with those 3D ships. I think this image is really beautiful, but there's a lot of improvements. I kind of mentioned before needing to strip out detail. And I think honestly the printer ran out of toner, which is why this version looks a little orangey, but I think that it's a really beautiful, composition. So I would really love to know which of these is your favorite. If you wouldn't mind leaving a comment with the number of your favorite design and why you like it, I really would appreciate it. That can help kind of guide the direction of our game development. AI is a pretty hot topic right now. As I'm starting to use AI for my work, I want to make sure that I'm using it legally and ethically. And Soul is the artist for the project, and she and I have been in close collaboration about how we're going to use AI for this project. I'm also very lucky that our game designer, Justin Gunnell, is a practicing lawyer, and he's been able to provide some guidance on some of the pitfalls and things that we need to avoid and things that we need to think about as we're starting to use AI. There's been a lot of learnings that I've had over the last month in using AI and chatting with Justin and working with Soul to make sure that we're aligned on how to use this properly. And I've been debating making a video, but it's kind of specific and targeted to just AI stuff. But if that's something you'd be interested in, please let me know in the comments, because I think it's important. And if there's people that are interested in hearing about it, I'll make the video. So my next step is to do a lot of play testing with these different designs to see what styles resonate with different people, and where we can improve in terms of the layout, the fonts, the components, and the playability. So if you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate it if you'd hit that like button. And if you want to see more stuff like this, please hit the subscribe. So if you are interested in getting a copy of Words of a Feather, which I showed earlier, the Pledge Manager is still open, and I'll leave a link to that in the description. And as my oldest daughter likes to say whenever she's all done with me, bye-bye.